Hello and welcome to the final video of MM2 Gates to Another World. So in this video I will go through all of our characters, see what our final stats are looking like, and lastly I will give some final thoughts about the game as a whole. So let's start off with our regular Paperdolls. This time you can see all the stats on your own, and yeah, so let's start with Aragorn as usual. He is a male, neutral, human cavalier. Level 47, very low due to him not fighting the Cuisinarts. But what can you do? His highest stat is Might at 88, of course, due to the Ivory cameo that he has equipped. And in his equipment list, we have the Rhodium Helmet +6, still the same as before. The Palladium Photon Blade +7, very nice. The Chromium Fire Shield +4. And a very new and nice thing that Aragorn now has is the Topaz and Bronze Plate Mail +14. So as you can see, his appearance has changed quite a bit due to him upgrading to this nice plate mail here. Another thing that he has that wasn't there before is the Ruby Greatbow +21. Very powerful indeed. And of course he still has his Ivory cameo. Yeah, all of our characters have about a million, well, 1.8 million gold, which is nice. And that's 7 million experience. So others probably have around 8 million or more. So that's not too bad. So Aragorn now is of 28 years. Which is strange because, like I said, it didn't really take that much time from the beginning of Might and Magic 1 Secret of the Inner Sanctum to the ending of Might and Magic 2 Gates to Another World. Probably just a few years should have passed, but oh well. What is more? 45 AC, pretty good for a frontline character. Of course, he's still a merchant and a gladiator. And he has 25 intellect and 23 personality, things he really don't need. Alright, so that is that. Let's go to the next character. Boromir, the male good human hero. Level 53. His highest stat is also Might at 80, thanks to the new opal pendant that he has there. He has 2007 HP, not bad. Actually, that's really quite high compared to the other people we have in the party. And 530 spell points in total, that's again very high. 43 AC in total, he's a soldier and a diplomat. And yeah, more than 8 million experience. Almost 9 million in fact. 24 age. And in his equipment list we have actually a steel phaser. I somehow earlier thought that it was an iron phaser, but actually +2 is steel, so yeah, it's a steel phaser +2. Then he still has his Palladium Titan Spike +7, very nice. And of course the white gold plate armor, well no, plate mail. It's not plate armor would be actually better than that, but oh well. +7. Then 3 new things in his equipment actually. So first off is his Cobalt and Silver helmet +5. Very nice. Silver adds protection from energy. And that's one thing that is hard to defend against. Then, a very new thing that Boromir now has is the Cast Iron Meteor Bow +3 that we got from Dawns. Very nice, but of course Boromir didn't get much of a chance to use it in battle. And of course, lastly, we have the Opal Pendant that adds quite a bit to his might. So, all in all, very nice stats and nice appearance too, because he is almost in full gold equipment. Although he had to give up his gold helmet, because I gave that to Gertrude instead. Alright, so let's go to the next character. Legolas, the male neutral elf warrior mage. Level 46. Again, too bad. And his highest stat is accuracy at 82, as is expected of an archer. He's a Pathfinder and an arms master. 27 age. In his equipment list, nothing at all has changed since last time, actually. He still has the Topaz Shard, obviously. Still has those Chromium Might Gauntlets +4. Maybe something better could have been found for him, but I couldn't find anything yet, unfortunately. The Phosphor Bronze Chainmail +5, not bad, but not that good either, really. The Iron Invisocloak +1, though, is pretty good. Though, his AC is still 26, which is really low due to the fact that archers cannot use shields or helmets, and we only have +5 chainmail, which is really not that good. However, the weapons are top-notch. Cobalt Titan Spike +5, amazing. And the Palladium Ancient Bow +7, even more amazing. So, yeah. He also still has those Force Potions in his backpack. Those things that increase might. Didn't get to use it anywhere, because by the time we finished with the Square Lake, we already were way overpowered. So, yeah. Quite interesting to see our characters there having all sorts of modern equipment together with the traditional medieval equipment. Like the ancient bow here is probably very interesting to use for Legolas, because those things are really accurate and quite powerful, and people back in the Middle Ages just wished they had something like these sorts of bows. But unfortunately, the invention of these ones came too late, when bows were no longer a viable way of warfare, I guess. So that's that. Let's go to the next character then. Shaggoth, the male neutral half-orc rogue. Level 46, with his high stat being luck at 73. Again, quite good for a rogue. He's a Mountaineer and a PickPocket, and has a Thievery rating of 132%. And even then, he cannot unlock Moray's doors, apparently. In his equipment list, we have only one change, but it's a very important one. So, he still has his Cobalt Great Shield +5. his Cabriot Chainmail plus 7, very nice. His Palladium Thieves Pick plus 7, not very necessary at this point in the game, but why not. His Steel Giant Sling plus 3. And the new thing that he now has is an Ultimate Battle Axe plus 28. Very high. In fact, the highest level equipment that we've got throughout the entire game. Now, theoretically, you could go up to plus 62 safely by means of casting Enchant Item. But that's grinding, and I don't like grinding. So, a plus 28 is good enough for me. Really, we didn't ever need anything more, in fact. And of course, the last thing that Shagrath has is the Sapphire Pin, obviously. A few herbal patches and magic herbs in his backpack. And, well, that's about it. AC of 29, not that good and not that bad. A Chainmail plus 7, fairly okay-ish, I guess. So, that's that. Let's go to the next character. Gandalf, the male neutral human wizard. Level 53. His highest stat is... luck at 58. Apparently due to the circus. But otherwise, his... no, wait. There's endurance at 62. Still due to the circus. But yeah, his intellect is quite high too, at 50. But yeah. In his equipment list, we don't have any changes whatsoever. He still has that Steel Cinder Pipe plus 2, the Chromium Magic Charm plus 4, the Rhodium Padded Armor plus 6, the Steel Defense Ring plus 2, the Jade Dagger plus 15, still couldn't replace that one, and the Amber Skull. He's a Cartographer and a Linguist. AC of 20, not too bad for someone who can only equip padded armor, actually. 1,795 hit points. 583 spell points. In the regular backpack, he has his castle key, the herbal patch and magic herbs, just in case of emergency, of course. And two things that I did not want to sell, because they're awesome, but we cannot make use of that. There's the Wind Staff plus 9. That would be a really cool staff for Gandalf, but unfortunately it's only for good people, and Gandalf isn't good enough, apparently. And the extremely expensive Sun Naginata plus 6, which would be very good for Aragorn, but I didn't want to replace the Photon Blade. So, yes, I think that covers all of our regular characters. So let's go look at... no, wait. We forgot Frodo. Let's see Frodo first. Frodo, the male neutral gnome priest. Level 53 even. With his highest stat being speed at 78 for no real reason, except for those speed boosts plus 3, of course. And he's a Diplomat and a Navigator, has AC of 52, which is incredible. 1849 HP, 583 spell points. In his equipment list, we have a Cobalt Shock Flail plus 5, a pair of Cast Iron Speed Boosts plus 3, the Tungsten Electric Shield plus 11, definitely a good part of what contributed to his absurdly high AC. Two new things. The first thing is the rhodium and silver helmet +6. Very nice to have something silver equipped, like I mentioned before. And the citrine splint mail +12. Very nice as well. It's a +12 item. The previous one that had something like +7, I think, was good as well, but not even close to the citrine splint mail that we got right now. So yeah, that's why his AC is through the roof. And of course he still has his onyx effigy, because would not want to have him go out without that thing, lugging it around everywhere apparently. He still has the teleport orb, although we haven't used that for a long time. Neither did we ever get to use the super flare, but like that goes without saying, we don't really need to use those because everyone can cast those things several times over. So yeah, let's move on to the hirelings now. Gertrude, the female evil half-orc barbarian chief. Level 50, with her highest stat being luck at 102 due to the new helmet she's got. And as you can see, the lowest stat is personality at 2. I wonder what happens if you lower the personality even further. But yeah, AC of 42, very nice for a barbarian, because barbarians have a lot of HP but not a whole lot of AC, because they are quite restricted at what armors they can use. But they can make use of helmets and shields, hence why she could manage to get her AC that high. She's a Mountaineer and a Pathfinder, costs 50,000 per day, and 2,066 hit points. In her equipment list, we still have the rhodium ray gun +6, the palladium padded armor +7, the white gold shield +7, and now she also has that white gold helmet +7. Still has the coral brooch, of course, and a nice new thing that she's got to replace the electric axe is the Sapphire Dagger +19. Very powerful indeed. Although it's only a dagger, but +19 makes it instantly better than the electric axe +8 or whatever we've got earlier. And the rest of her pack is all magic herbs. So, let's move to the last hireling. Friar Fly, the male evil human priest of the dark. Level 53. His highest stat is speed at 70, due to another speed enhancing item, of course. And he has 1747 HP. And 424 spell points. Quite a bit lower than the rest, but there's nothing that could be done because he is a hireling. 36 AC, could be better, but he does stick in the back of the party anyway. He's a Crusader and a Navigator. And in his equipment list we have only one change. Still has his Palladium Quick Flail +7, the Bill and Chainmail +7, the Rhodium Magic Charm +6, the Cobalt Cold Shield +5, the Steel Might Gauntlets +2, and the new thing that he now has is the Ferro Silver Helmet +3. The rest of his backpack is all herbal patches and magic herbs. So, that is that. This is all that Firefly has, and this is the end of all our Paperdolls for Might Magic 2, Gates to Another World. However, that's not the last of the Paperdolls that you will be seeing, because the next games in the series do not have any as well, but they do have better descriptions of items, so it will be fun to make some new Paperdolls once we get to the next Might Magic games. So, that's all, and now let's recap some things. I hope I have this position correctly. Let's see. About. Not very good, but why not? This says Might and Magic Book 2. IBM version by Inside Out Software Incorporated. Original Apple II version developed by New World Computing Incorporated. Of course, John Van Caneghem. And there were some more people developing this game, actually. They mostly helped, and John Van Caneghem still did most of the job, but yeah. Music and sounds by Raoul Krauschar. That sounds like a Scar name. There was no music aside from the intro tune, and it was very chiptune-y anyway, so Copyright 1989, New World Computing, version 101. So, this is the end of Might Magic 2, Gates to Another World. The second game from the first generation of Might Magic games. So this game was actually made on the same engine as Might Magic 1, Secret of the Inner Sanctum. The next game in the series, Might Magic 3 Isles of Terra, is using an entirely different engine, which is quite interesting. So, my thoughts on the game. Well, compared to Secret of the Inner Sanctum, there were definitely some interesting improvements. In terms of graphics, of course, mainly. Definitely better colors, better animations, definitely that. There's now a day and night cycle, although it doesn't do anything really, has no significance whatsoever. That will change very much in later Might Magic games. A nice thing that this game has is the auto map. I'm not actually certain if it's something that Inside Out Software did, but pressing M brings up the auto map. I think in the Apple II version and the other versions you actually have to cast a spell to open the minimap, because there is a spell, Location, much like in Secret of the Inner Sanctum, that in this game opens the auto map. But there's also a key binding, and it doesn't actually cost any spell points, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. The auto map is nice, the minimap is also nice, the one that you get from Eagle Eye and Wizard Eye, though having to cast those spells is not very nice because it costs way more than it should. It's much better to just drink from the fountain in Middlegate. Another interesting thing that was improved in this game compared to the Secret of the Inner Sanctum is spells, definitely. Lloyd's Beacon is an amazing spell. Unfortunately, in many places it's banned because it's too amazing. But otherwise, yes, it's a really nice idea for a spell, and it will become a mainstay of the series. I think even Might and Magic 8, Day of the Destroyer had it. And I'm not sure about Might and Magic 9 Writ of Fate, because I have never played it. But yeah, definitely a very long stay spell, definitely very useful. Will be even more useful in later games, in fact. In this game it mostly acted as a way to save the game. In later games this will no longer be a problem. So the wealth of spells was definitely improved in this game. A lot more new spells. We've also got things like Starburst, Divine Intervention, all things like Meteor Shower, which will also be a mainstay of the series in the later games. Things like Fantastic Freeze, Super Shock and such, they will also appear in the later games, but they're never that good actually. It's quite weird how that happened. Yeah, so definitely good that this game improved the wealth of spells, a variety of them. Also very nice in this game is that we can now have hirelings in the party, which ups the party number up to 8 characters. That's definitely a very welcome improvement, and that allowed me to bring even more clerics into the party, because in my opinion clerics are always the best characters to have, because they're healers. Always have to have a lot of healers in order to go through things. Another nice thing is that this game had random quests, though we didn't get to see much of those. They were mostly featured in I think Lord Slayer's quest? Yeah, we've got that quest for Super Sprite, and we never actually got to encounter a Super Sprite. Pretty funny how that happened. So the concept is interesting, but too bad that ultimately nothing interesting happened. In later games this will be revisited, but again, the later games didn't really do much good with it either, so I'm not sure why. So yeah, all of these improvements are definitely a good thing. The game definitely was improved in terms of technical things. However, that's pretty much all that was improved from Secret of the Inner Sanctum. Game design is pretty bad, mostly because of balance. This game has no idea what balance is all about. None whatsoever. You could go to the Cuisinart fight at any point after getting Moonray, and you could easily get through it just by having a bit of luck. And that would give you insane amount of experience. And compare that to, say, the Snow Beast fight, which even at this point in time would be really hard to go through, because you have to go through an anti-magic zone without any form of light, having to go through dynamic encounters and a good chance of a random encounter. In the end, you have to fight a Snow Beast encounter, which is really hard to go through, without potions at least. And in the end, what you get are 2 hirelings who aren't even good. Like, what kind of balance is that? It's nonsense. I'm not sure what JVC was thinking when making all of that. And potions, like, you can buy potions in regular stores and you can just drink all of them. But that's not good gameplay. why would you give people the ability to buy potions and break the game entirely? You could just power them up anyway. Drinking them is just grinding once again. And speaking of grinding, there were a lot of opportunities to do that, and I really don't like grinding. It's boring. A lot of opportunities for grinding, a lot of opportunities for breaking the game entirely. Like, there is a guide on game FAQs that focuses entirely on how you can break the game to max out your stats, have level I don't know how high, and 255 stats and everything, and like, it's crazy. It's completely not balanced, completely breakable, and you have to actually put some effort into trying not to break the game. And this game also requires abusing gameplay mechanics to actually progress in the game. Having to discard your hirelings in order to transport the elemental orb out, that is stupid. Like, seriously, this is not something you could ever explain in the universe. How can the hireling get past through the barriers without, well, something? That makes no sense. And speaking of that, Square Lake was really stupid as far as dungeons go. It's boring. It's just a series of encounters. Random encounters. And when you need to run away, you have to walk all the way back with a heightened chance of getting a random encounter. It's... the design in this game is really not good. Also, armies and hordes of enemies that you have to fight. Whoever thought that was a good idea, there's no point to it. No point whatsoever. If you can defeat those 10 people in the front row, then that's that. Why do you need to fight through hundreds of enemies in the back row? On paper, having to defeat hordes of enemies sounds nice. In practice, that's not good at all. Like, if I can do this, then I just press auto combat and I wait for some seconds or minutes to pass while everyone goes down. If I cannot go just auto-attacking, then I have to manually do all that, and that is a slugfest. It's not interesting, it's just a battle of endurance. And whoever goes down first is the one that loses, and it takes forever. It's all just a waste of time. It's very nice that in later games they dropped this gameplay mechanic and you no longer face armies at all. In fact, you, in the later games, only get to face a few monsters at a time, so that's very good. But yeah, so this game really has some flaws. But yeah, and one thing I didn't mention is the random encounters themselves. It's a good thing that they lowered the chances of getting a random encounter, because in Secret of the Sanctum you got encounters way too often. So overall, some good things, some bad things. Good technical side, bad game design side. Overall, I'd say that this is my least favorite game in the entire Might and Magic series, in fact. Not to say that it's bad. It's definitely enjoyable to play through, but I just think that this is the weakest entry. Well, of course, mind you, I have not played Might and Magic 9 The Writ of Fate, nor do I consider Might and Magic 10 an entry in the Might and Magic series. But otherwise, yeah. I think that is the weakest entry in the whole Might and Magic series. And definitely I enjoyed it less than I did Secret of the Inner Sanctum. So, of the two first generation games, it's definitely weaker in my opinion. It's pretty strange because a lot of people really like this game and I don't know why. Over in the forums they talked about some of their favorite Might and Magic games, and for some reason Might and Magic 2 Gates to Another World ranked quite high. I'm not feeling that, basically. Maybe people like the fact that you can completely break the game, but, well, I'm not someone who likes that. So that's about it. One thing that I was quite surprised in terms of reaction from the people who comment on my videos is that nobody ever actually voted whether they rather preferred the normal interpolation or the HQ interpolation method. And I always kept switching them around up to the end of the game. If even a single person would have stated their preference one way or another, I would have switched to that completely, but that never happened. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, so that is that. The next project that I'm going to undertake will be Unreal Return to Nepali, the expansion pack for the Unreal game. Afterwards we will go right into Might and Magic 3 Gates of Terra. Isles of Terra. Getting mixed up now. So that game is, in my opinion, much better than this one. In fact, I would say that from both first and second generations of Might and Magic games, it's my favorite, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And also, of course, more Heroes Chronicles will go in parallel to Isles of Terra. So I will all see you in those later projects. So, see you all then later.